So JD, have you even started the Vince doc yet?
No, I was
No.
gonna watch this weekend.
Okay. I was able to actually finish that this morning. So if you guys are here to hear us talk about the Vince doc, JD hasn't watched it yet. So we're actually going to do that in overtime this coming up weekend. We're very likely to record on Sunday night, be in your inboxes on Monday morning, probably like depending on where you're, like what time zone you're in. You'll very likely be asleep by the time I get it all uploaded and get all the SEO and all that stuff in there. So I'm very much looking forward to your reaction to it. But guys, if you're here to talk about Vince, we're not really going to talk about that documentary too much. But if you do have something that you want to ask one of us, because JD knows the history as just as well as anybody else, go ahead and throw it in the chat. If you want to get your super chats in, go ahead and do that. But we'll go ahead and get the show started, man. So
what's your overall vibe on the doc? Did you enjoy it? Was it a hard watch? Was it like entertaining?
It was everything that you just mentioned. It was very entertaining at times. Somewhat educational. I did know just about everything that he talked about because you got to remember this is for Netflix, so they're introducing this to like a bigger and newer audience, right? So they did have to rehash some stuff. But I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was pretty hard hitting. I thought they were pretty brutal to Vince.
Really? We thought a softball was coming their way. Is that not what happened?
That is not what happened. No.
Nice.
In fact, Vince was super pissed about it. He actually put out a press release the day before it came out. Yeah, he was super pissed. And then in like episode 6, and I don't want to spoil anything, but in episode 6, they interview Bruce Pritchard in January of this year before the Janelle Grant lawsuit gets filed. They interview him after showing him the first 4 episodes. And they go, "Can you give us your honest opinion on the show?" And he goes off on those guys about how they buried Vince and how he didn't like them for that, and they were not fair to him, and they don't know the man that he knows, and that like he's got a good heart, and you guys are just went out of your way to bury the guy. And they did bury him, but what they did, and look, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I have a lot to say about this Vince talk, but just to give you guys a preview of what we're going to talk about in overtime, any good documentary will give the subject, no matter how evil they are, the chance to tell their story. Mm-hmm. And they will give the subjects, people in his peer group, people that maybe have his back or her back, they'll get a chance to tell their side of the story. But then you also get the other side of the story from the people that were covering them, the victims and things like, they had archive information about some of the victims, Tom Cole, Rita Chatterton, all those things. I felt like it was really balanced, to be honest with you.
Really?
And so I'm actually looking forward to hearing what you got to say. I got to commend, Dave Meltzer was, I think, awful announcing, like did a story, and they, named him as like the star of the show. And I thought he was one of the stars of the shows. I thought Eric Bischoff was very good. I thought Bret Hart was very good. Believe it or not, David Schumacher was actually pretty good. Really? Like he did not let up on Vince at all. Like, and all the interviews were done before the Janelle Grant lawsuit was filed. So I was honestly very much surprised at how balanced it was.
Here's the thing about Dave, right? And I know it's become kind of an in vogue thing to shit on Dave, but there's a reason why Dave Meltzer is Dave Meltzer. And there's a reason why he's far eclipsed Wade Keller I hate this phrase, but as far as the space goes, right? Is that Dave is very good at what he does. And he also has a certain charisma to him, right? There's a uniqueness to Dave Meltzer. And having spent just a little bit of time with the guy, I can kind of see it. Like there's a vibe to the guy that makes him super interesting, especially in these kind of forums, right? Yeah. Where he's allowed just to totally Dave out. So the fact that you said that makes this 10 times more intriguing. Dude, I'll be honest with you, before Vince publicly crapped on this thing and before you said this, I was not looking forward to watching this. I didn't think Bill Simmons had the testicular fortitude to go after Vince and TKO and WWE. I really didn't. I thought they were just gonna gloss over everything, which I think was probably what Vince thought they were gonna do.
Yes.
And they didn't. Yeah. So I'm looking more forward now to this than I was a week ago.
Yeah, I think Vince thought it was gonna be a puff piece. Mm-hmm. Even though he told them not to do puff piece. I think he thought that he was gonna get away with it. I think he had handlers in the room with him, helping him, Paul Heyman being one of them, to kind of feed him answers and stuff so he doesn't get himself in trouble. And he still got himself in trouble. So I'm not gonna I don't want to reveal anything because I don't want to spoil anything for you. I'm very much looking forward to
Okay.
hearing your thing. There's one thing that they didn't do that I wish they did do, and I will tell you that as soon as you're done watching it. And I think we'll be on the same page.
Okay.
By the time you finish it, you'll be like, yeah, I think they missed this.
Okay.
Now, it was a 6-hour documentary. It probably could have been 15 hours, to be honest with you.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, well, it wasn't only just Vince McMahon. It was like the history of the WWE from the Vince McMahon era on.
I mean, you have to do that. I mean, the life of Vince McMahon is the history of WWE. Like the two are one and the same.
Yeah. One of the takeaways, other than the fact that I thought it was a really good documentary, one of the takeaways that I had early on in watching it was the thing that I loved growing up is very fucking creepy. Just like, it's like you just, and I already knew the stories, but then you see them play out again, and the way that they edited it and the production quality that they had, and then hearing from some of the people that were involved, she's like, oh my God, what a scummy fucking business that we love.
So what you're telling me is this isn't going to push me back into watching WWE wrestling.
No, and I think some people thought that was the aim of it. They didn't do that. So, in fact, which is weird from given that WWE is going to be on Netflix going forward. But
to be fair, this documentary was probably completed before the Netflix deal was even set. So
so it was mostly completed. They ended up adding stuff afterwards, but yeah, it was already in the can, ready to go, and then they kept having to extend it out. So, but they did talk about the WWE signing with Netflix after Vince had left. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the WWE playbook right now. Is bad man gone, bad man gone, bad man gone. We're good now. We're fine now. We're forgetting the fact that Bruce Pritchard's still there. Forgetting the fact that Triple H is actually related to the guy, and covered for him numerous times. So
Bruce Pritchard, I'll be surprised if he makes it the rest of the year after this.
Wow.
So he came off that bad.
Was Nick Khan in the documentary?
No.
He's too smart for that. He's too smart for that.
Yeah, they did interview Nick. They interviewed all the McMahons. They interviewed obviously Triple H, Bruce Pritchard, and then of course all the cast of characters that you would typically get. Tony Atlas, I thought was pretty funny on it, although he's always good in these because I don't think he's very truthful, but he's just funny. Like the way he tells stories is pretty funny. Although he did make some accusations at Pat Patterson that one Pat LaPrade is not very happy with. So that's becoming a controversy. Again, I will let you figure out what that is. But
I can put two and two together. Tony Atlas does have some great stories. This is interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'm in.
Right. Well, I think the Vince doc. Sorry, bless you. I